Hello, welcome to your viewers of Random Rants. Oh, I just wanted to see if the voice is okay. Think it'll be okay?
I think it should be okay.
Okay, so it'll be okay. Says my platform committee
Mm,
CEO.
mm.
We are. Where are we? What place is this?
I
It's
don't
a
know
place.
the
It's a
name.
village called Sterksel.
Mm-hmm.
It's close to Helldrop and Eindhoven.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes drive.
I'm cool.
She's a cow because
Mm-hmm.
she's in a farm.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically a farmer's open day, and behind us is a farmer. He's got lots of cows.
And there's
What are
also a
them?
place.
I think so.
And there's also a place to eat.
And a lot of the milk in the Netherlands comes from one of such, many of such farmers.
Mm.
This ice cream is made from milk. That's from the cows over here.
This also, right?
That's in a nutshell.
We don't know their names. We only know their numbers.
Mm.
More about it later.
Mm.
Okay. And
And it's a fun event where you get to see the farmers, you get to see the animals, you see how they are treated, you see how the milk is produced or they got out of the cow. I don't know how you
milk
say
is
it.
milk.
Milk is milk,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Automatically with the
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah. Oh. Forgot the tissue. Okay.
Mm.
And yeah, that's it. That's about it. So we thought today we will talk about the topic of rest. Yeah. And yeah, I think I've been thinking about it a lot. I think it all started with lunation, and why the lunar cycle is because it had always fascinated me that the lunar month is like 28 days, and menstruation in human beings is also 8 days. So that was a very interesting coincidence. So then I started thinking, okay, I don't care if some power is there, real in the universe, then please make mine sing with the moon. So I said this with a lot of conviction, and then I started singing with the moon. So I was already intrigued by that little experiment, but then I also started thinking of other cycles. When I say cycle, every day is a cycle. So there's a morning when we wake up, and then the sun is in its midpoint, and then it sets, and there is a night again where we get to rest, and the cycle repeats. But recently I have also started noticing. I think we really should get some tissues.
Mm.
I can hold the phone or
I
pause.
don't
No, it's okay.
Let's pause
Yeah?
for a second. Yeah, so we were talking about rest, right? So in a day's time, there is that morning where you need to slowly wake up, slowly come back from the sleep world back to the, I wouldn't say real world, but the Maya illusion of the real world, and then get our things at peak energetic point at 12 noon, so to say, and then by evening come back home and ideally rest. That's another point I wanted to say. So I think in olden times, like animals, we humans would have also. What do you think humans would have done?
Olden times.
Cavemen, what time will they wake up? What time will
They follow the sun basically. So when the sun comes, they wake up. When the sun goes, they sleep.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. They follow the sun for everything.
They didn't have electricity. They did not have candles. Like
Yeah,
really
why
old.
can't they just wake up when they want?
Oh.
They can wake up when they want. That's not a problem. But without the sun in the night, what are they going to do? So they said, okay, I better go back to sleep.
Maybe after they found out fire, maybe they sat by campfire
Well, maybe.
and spoke endlessly. Yeah. Maybe they never followed. That's also true. Yeah. But then also, if you think about it, they also had their own kind of astrological clock. So many of the olden time monuments, like even the Stonehenge and things like that, temples in India, they're all sort of built in such a way that during the eclipses, solstice, and all those special sun-related days,
Mm.
the light falls through a hole inside the ceiling or something like that. Like there's always an alignment that happens during the eclipses or mostly solstice and equinox, I would say.
Yeah, so they would track the location from which the sun comes.
Mm-hmm.
And when they make temple and things, they would align the windows such a way that, for example, June 21st, you know, the sun will come perfectly through the windows, and then they know that's the start of spring season. So that was their way of calendar or triggering. Okay, this is the time the season is changing.
Absolutely. So we've been trying to follow the lunation these days, and each lunation has this particular name. Like what are the names? I forgot. Wolf moon, big
Yeah.
moon, harvest moon,
Hunter's moon and things
cross
like
moon, strawberry moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Everything had like a connection to it, and it also helped people to understand what time of the year it is. So there is like a pattern. It's like a periodical pattern that keeps coming back, so to say, maybe sine wave or whatever. There is that formula in nature. And if so I've been closely observing some festivals. It could be Baisakhi, it could be Pongal, Onam, Vishu. There are some, how do you say, connection to these things. So it could be like, oh, it's on the new moon of when the planets are in I don't know, I'm making crap up now, in Taurus constellation or something like that. There's always that connection. Even pagan religions, festivals, a lot of them probably had this kind of connection. And even when like a religion like Christianity adopted things, like yeah, we kept those dates, like December 25th is very close to December 21st and things like that. So there is that pattern, which is then a yearly cycle sort of a thing. But maybe there are also larger, how do you say, cycles with larger time frame. So for example, I was listening to this locust thing which keeps coming back. I don't know if it is migration or for reproduction, but every n number of years. And apparently there were different types or subspecies of the same kind, and the n for each would be different, such that when one batch comes, the other batch doesn't come. I don't know if it is like a prime number, like 13 or 7, like 17, something like that. So that because it is two prime numbers, it will only overlap, coincide in, I don't know, 91 years, something like that. Again, I don't remember that numbers. So that was really fascinating, actually. So there is also this larger cycle that maybe we are not observing or noticing. Like, so for example, I've been thinking about it, like at some point of time, this Polaris, which we now call pole star, is the pole star. What I'm trying to say is, before Polaris, it was another star which was the pole star, because we are also moving with respect to within that galaxy, and the galaxy is moving with respect to. So you have to start thinking like that. So it's not just rotation, revolution. Yeah, even the Earth's tilt is changing, and so it's so many layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. But the point I want to make in today's video is basically not only about this cycle, but also a reminder that this cycle is usually, if you observe, it's like a crust and trough pattern. So there is always a rise, example morning, which in weather terms, what is it? What do you think? Which month, which weather is like the rise?
what, summer and winter, rice and
Yeah, very close. Spring.
Summer.
Spring is where new things. It's a beginning.
yeah,
New
like that.
beginning.
Yeah.
You got it? Yeah.
Now it's spring.
Yeah. Oh my
So
god.
now it's rising.
Yes, now is rising. Exactly. So that is like a east. Somehow in my mind, east is also connected with new beginnings. So east or spring or morning, that are dawn. That's what I'm trying to say. There is always that where things begin. There is always like a summer, which is equal to 12 o'clock, or which is equal
like
to
that.
sun there, or which is equal to, I don't know, summer solstice. Call it what you want. And then there is also a time to start resting, because there is going to be that decline, and autumn is going to come. There will be an autumn, which is like a 6 o'clock, an evening, where you need to wind up the activities of the day. And then by 12 o'clock, ideally, if that is the calculation in mind, you should be like absolutely sleeping, right? And then back up again at 6. And I feel like as humans, I feel like the animals are still following this. So they have a daily, monthly, weekly, I don't know, lunar, yearly.
Animals does, right? So even the fish,
Uh-huh.
which is living deep in the ocean, take the whales and stuff like that. They know exactly when to trigger their migration pattern,
Wow, I love what you said. Yeah.
irrespective of what's happening. So humans can observe a lot,
Mm.
but the birds or the animals or yeah,
The bulb,
fish, yeah, bulb, yeah. So
the
everything,
tulip bulbs.
yeah. I mean, even when the spring comes, so there's always some sort of mechanism which the animals follow as well. And they also take into consideration is a storm brewing somewhere, or should I start early, or should I start late? It's not like they start on the same day every day, every year.
Mm.
They keep changing depending on the weather pattern change. They have some sort of a knack on picking up on weather changes or storms coming or things like that. So yeah.
That intrigues me because I had heard about this experiment where they were trying to predict a thunderstorm or something like that. I forgot the exact thing right now, but it's such that there are this set of birds which usually migrates, but depending on whether there's a thunderstorm coming or not, they might choose a different start date or an earlier date. So every time they started early, that means a thunderstorm is coming or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
And they followed it, and the prediction of these birds were spot on. And as with our latest calculations technology, we couldn't do it. We can't still predict.
yeah. I think it was a Netflix documentary or something somewhere
Mm-hmm.
where the meteorological department, let's say they can predict a storm coming, yeah. But these birds could predict it even before the meteorological department could see. So they would see, okay, this bird has decided to leave now, and maybe a week later, the meteorological department will figure out, oh, there's a storm brewing. But these birds could identify that even before it came in the radar of meteorological department. For some reason, they had a feeling.
I think it was a gut feeling or a
Uh,
bodily vibration. Or they were so observing, oh, this leaf did not move by 2.5 inch, it moved by 3 inch.
no,
That
it
means-
could be atmospheric pressure, some change, change, yeah. So, or they know that if these things come together, it will inevitably lead to a storm. So,
What do you mean,
storm.
like?
I don't know, some change in atmospheric moisture or wind speed or direction or atmospheric pressure. I don't know, you name it. They can only sense, I think, and see, maybe.
That's true. I like that.
Or maybe their vision
Mm.
is, their vision is different from human beings, so they can see more maybe than what we see. We are limited by the visible light spectrum, and they could potentially see other frequencies or other ranges.
Yeah, like the contour maps that we use in geographical, all this weather predictions, calculations, geography. Maybe they see it as contour maps.
Yeah,
Who knows? We don't know. Like also the dolphins, how they use sonar to
yeah.
identify. Yesterday, right? Yeah. It's about how they communicate. They can literally see, but then again, define seeing. We see like this, so we think animals also see like this.
Yeah, so
Maybe
yesterday
they
we've been to Dolphinarium and then we learned a few things like, so dolphins like humans have left and a right hemisphere in the brain, and given that they have lungs, they have to come to the surface of the water to breathe. So when they're going to sleep, they have one hemisphere sleeping and the other hemisphere keeping a watchful eye or keeping a sense. So they get they get they get saved from predators and things like that. So they are one side of the brain asleep, another side of the brain keeping watch. So you I mean, similarly other animals would have other capabilities and abilities. So yeah, we never know.
Yeah, but there is also, even in animals, there is also a rest pattern. Like, so for example, even they have a time when they are ready and making offsprings, like with the penguins.
The whole hibernation pattern and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, and there is a pattern. Yeah, exactly. So there is a rest time also. Even with trees, if you think, they'll be like, I don't know, like growing and then producing fruits and vegetables and whatever. And then there's also time when they're taking rest and like rejuvenating or getting ready for the next time. So I think, like, okay, also being an advocate for mental health and things like that, I've also noticed that For instance, everybody thinks I'm a very outgoing person, and I think I myself believe that I'm an outgoing person, so I kept going out. But when this burnout or whatever came, that's when I realized I also need time to go inward, like take rest. So there is always that sine wave pattern thingy, that yin and yang thingy, where again that's a reference. Where you need to come back inwards. You also need to withdraw. You also need to take break. Even sleeping, you need the right amount of sleeping so that you can be awake for the right amount of time. You need that balance. You also need a bit of 50-50 kind of area. So for example, morning, you're not fully there, you're not fully asleep also, but you're a bit more relaxed. Same in
All
the
the
evening.
different types of sleep, you mean REM sleep and then light sleep and things like
That true. There is always that variation, but that variation is based on this up and down principle. Yeah. So I feel like one of the messages of this video is to kind of understand the cycle. Look around you, observe the cycle in animals and birds and plants and trees and whatnot in nature. Yeah, even rivers. There is a time when the snow melts or whatever, and it gets like it floods, like Nile flooding, like every year. That perfect timing for the plants and vegetables, like plants growing in that valley. It was the reason for the prosperity of an entire country, civilization. My God.
Yeah, so this is referring to how Nile floods every year, which makes the land fertile, which helps the farmers in Egypt. So they depended on or relied on Nile flooding, and there were some parts of the history where Nile didn't flood, and that causes the havoc. So that's what she's referring to.
Yeah, so that is very, very intriguing, interesting, but also something for us to really learn, really observe. In that sense, I really like some of the Indian customs where we come from. It's called Karkidagam, and then Karkidagam, Mallingi, Panyamasam. It's observed in such a way that you say it's like a time to rest and rejuvenate. Like you have a special kind of food so that it's easily digestible, or it's more like indoor activities, or like that's always there. Even with the festivals and the food culture associated with the festival, if you actually think about it, it's always matching with the ebbs and flows of nature. So even sometimes even compensating for it. So for example, I was thinking last time when Diwali happened, usually like that's the darkest time of the year. It's like really low period. You are mentally feeling not that great, and then it's nice to have some kind of a reminder, a hope, light, like yeah. That's a beautiful concept. So also try to take part in these festivals. That also gives you that time to sort of rest. Harvest time, yeah, I don't know, springtime, these kind of things. And I think another thing I want to talk about resting is also for your mind. So last few days I've been like really busy in my mind thinking about work or life or what to do and things like that, or criticizing myself or whatever, and then it sometimes gets very taxing on you, so you also need to detach. And then I feel opportunities like this where you can just be, like even when I'm talking right now, it's not like I have to think, because I'm flowing from a state of being. I can still hear the birds, I can still see the bees, I can still see the plants, I can still smell the cow dung, fresh grass, that nice warm sun, the cool wind, the beautiful sky above us. Thank you, cameraman. The little fly that's trying to kiss you. It's beautiful, and being in the now is also very restful. Maybe a drop of rain. Hey, thank you. How do you feel?
No, it's good. I mean, we should have these kind of rest days to unwind. I don't think we were meant to be factory workers like the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
That too. Even our work, that's something I keep thinking, because our work style is not meant to do that, like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday every month. Maybe we should also consider how do we adopt our work culture in such a way that we get more resting time, recuperating time, or development time. Maybe even have like compulsory trainings or like those kind of sessions during the winter months. For that, I think our culture needs to change. Our industry needs to, like our way of working
Way
needs
of
to
life, yeah.
needs to change. But I also don't think it's not possible. So there are a lot of good companies working towards making this friendly for all of us, friendly for
Oh,
human
you mean
beings.
it's not impossible?
Yeah, it's not impossible.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not there yet,
Yeah.
but it's still not impossible. So we shouldn't give up on it. Yeah. Also, like per week, like I really agree with that 4 day work culture. Yeah. Also across the week, we need to see what is best. So the messages, according to you, what are the messages? What main points did we touch upon?
No, the main point is important to give rest and take rest.
Listen to nature.
Connect more ground.
Yeah. Yes. And then also maybe get cues from the festivals happening around you. Get cues from animals around you. Get cues from your own body, your own mind. See how much it needs. Maybe sometimes social interaction is needed, but sometimes being by yourself is also needed. So,
Bless you.
excuse me, sorry. So you need to kind of prioritize depending on that needs, and basically just don't forget to rest, not just for your body but also for your mind. Be in the now, no future, no past, just the now, surrounded by nature and full of love. So
Love
wishing
and
you all
above.
love and above.
Take care.